Let's move on to the vacuum left at the top of the legal justice system in the United States by the sudden death of the U.S. Supreme Court Judge Justice Antonin Scalia. It's become an issue now in the presidential election campaign, with Republicans aiming for the next elected leader of the U.S. to be the person who appoints Mr. Scalia's successor. Here from some Captain Viet as this.
As flags fly at half-mast in remembrance of Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, Republicans have already come out swinging, vowing to block any successor nominated by President Barack Obama.
President Obama is not going to get the benefit of the doubt from me. Let's see him find a consensus choice. The next president will pick the replacement for Justice Scalia.
As battle lines are being drawn in Congress, the fight has spilled over into the race for the White House, with Republican candidates calling for a delay.
There's a long tradition. We don't do this in an election year.
Meanwhile, Democrats say they're outraged by the Republican stance.
It is outrageous that Republicans in the Senate and on the campaign trail have already pledged to block any replacement that President Obama nominates.
The Constitution is clear. The U.S. President nominates Supreme Court justices and the Senate confirms the candidate. But Republicans want a delay, hoping they'll take back the White House in November, and how the president will be more willing to appoint a conservative justice. As it stands to be, justices are evenly split between conservatives and liberals, and Republicans don't want to lose their long-term conservative advantage in shaping policy. Analysts say this fight could have repercussions beyond the presidential election, impacting several key Senate races. Vowing not to consider a nominee opens Republicans up to charges of obstruction, an argument the Democrats are sure to use as they try to win back seats in swing state contests.
Let's remind you now of the main world news headlines here live in Paris. At least 50 civilians are dead, including children. Médecins Sans Frontières says the hospital that supported in northern Syria has been destroyed by missiles. The United Nations says 5 medical facilities and 2 schools have been hit in Idlib and Aleppo. Kurdish backed through Syria forces have taken the border town from the control of the Islamic State group. The advance pushes closer to the town of Azaz. This is why Turkey warns that border town must not be taken. Turkey has been shelling the Kurdish forces since Saturday. Talk of a Brexit heats up. The French President François Hollande received the welcoming the UK's David Cameron to Paris. Cameron here to try to renegotiate Britain's membership of the EU. The handshakes have been easy. Starting off the business, we're going to find it here, to say, beginning with anger in Brussels, where thousands of city workers took to the streets. Tell us about it.
Well, this is something that's been brewing for a long time, and we saw the steelworkers were rallying against what they call unfair practices from their Chinese rivals. European firms say that as China's economy has slowed down, steel manufacturers there have had to find a place to offload their product. Chinese imports have flooded the EU market, leading to plunging prices, a practice known as dumping. As Charles Bowden reports, European steelworkers say their livelihood is under threat.
Employees and employers of the European steel industry marching side by side, united in their struggle against the dumping practices of their Chinese competitors. Thanks to heavy subsidies, Chinese steel production has boomed, leading to oversupply in Europe and a drop in prices.
Het volgende in de economische capaciteit is dat de industrie for one of the component of the should be import policies support subsidized steel. This is the goal.
Chinese steel imports to the EU have soared from 4.5 million tons in 2014 to a projected figure of 7 million tons for last year. This has caused the price of steel to fall from €600 per ton last summer to €350 per ton currently. Overproduction isn't the only issue. Members of the European steel community believe that differing industry regulations have also played their part in rigging the game in China's favor.
In Europe, we have to pay for CO2 certificates, which is not the case for China. In China, the amounts of CO2 that are emitted per ton of steel are higher than in Europe, and it is imported without any taxation.
The protests were also held to stop China from being granted the status of a market economy by the World Trade Organization. They claimed this would grant Chinese steel unfettered access to European markets and would push European steel closer to the brink. Studies suggest that 3.5 million jobs will be at risk when this will happen. The European steel industry has received the support of many European officials, such as French Economy Minister Emmanuel Macron. The UK government, on the other hand, has imposed measures combating Chinese dumping with the goal of nurturing the trade relations between the two countries.
So the necessary legislation. Staying in Brussels, more stimulus could be on the way from the European Central Bank. ECB President Mario Draghi said he will not hesitate to act to do what's necessary to lift inflation, which stands at 0.4% in the Eurozone, off the ECB's target of 2%. But also on the agenda were Europe's banks. Since the start of the year, European bankers have lost almost 25% of their value. But the ECB president says their stocks are trading well below their actual value and are not overly exposed to falling commodity prices which have battered emerging markets.
They're playing like a little game.
Draghi said that banks are in a better place than they were in the banking crisis from a few years ago.
What were they doing before?
The situation in the banking sector now is very different from what it was in 2012. Perhaps most importantly, Euro area banks have significantly strengthened their capital positions over the past few years, notably as a consequence of the comprehensive assessment conducted in 2014.
The European markets ended higher after Draghi's remark. Across the board, up over 2%. In Paris, the CAC 40 finished up over 3%. Thanks, seeing a rebound as are some mining and natural resources firms. HSBC ending up higher after it announced it would stay in London and not move to Hong Kong. The first train to connect China and Iran arrived in Tehran on Monday, loaded with Chinese goods. Iran railway officials said it marks the revival of the ancient Silk Road. The road took 14 days to make the 9,500-kilometer journey from Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan, but officials say they have an even grander vision for the future.
So that was it, like what time was it? That
This
was
railroad will now
59.
be used to deliver
12:19. Let's do the 2 to 3, 4 o'clock now almost?
We can create a railroad.
Can't see Manhattan. Why? Is it snow? Is it fire? What is it?
Staying with an automotive theme, but a bit flashier. Perhaps the closest James Bond ever came to the perfect marriage was with his Aston Martin.
That makes me
You
nervous.
have to keep your hands on one too. That is, if your pockets are deep enough.
Alright, I like to
James
stop.
Bond caught some memorabilia from the movie